welcome to another episode of Nerds Amalgamated. I am the DJ, and with me today I have the Professor.
Hello, DJ.
How's it going?
Decently well.
Oh, yeah. Enjoying the
Getting my second
the
Pfizer
warm
today.
weather?
I am not liking the warm weather. Can we just pretend it's winter again? Please let it be winter again.
Oh, I don't know. You have to wait for another 6 more months for that to happen.
Yep. So my neighbours have decided to move right now. That's nice.
Hey, look on the bright side. At least it'll be less dramas than what's happening with the Epic Store Apple lawsuit.
To be fair, Epic did move off the Apple Store. Well, they were evicted. But we do have a judgment in the case of Apple vs. Epic. So, in short, Apple now has to allow developers to include alternative payment methods. It's sort of the first step to opening up the App Store. I think we're still a long way from actually getting there, but I think, so now that we can have alternative payment methods, it's nice. It means you don't necessarily have to give your 30% cut to Apple. But the next thing I want to see is for the App Store, well, an alternative App Store to be available. A way to sideload apps without being a developer, without paying fees to Apple. I don't care if you have to go in and unlock a setting and settings to be able to do it, but I think that's an important part of actually opening up the Apple platform.
So who does this affect more, Apple or Epic in the long run?
Probably Apple. So we're getting to the point now that Apple has had a monopoly on the App Store for... When did they bring it in? 2008, I think?
I think so, yeah.
So they've had a monopoly for over a decade. And now that we've got a judgment, we don't know the full details or how it's going to be work, and there's still room for appeals and so on. But now you can finally pay for a subscription or an app without paying Apple. Apple isn't going to be happy with that. Sorry, actually, no, even if you use an external payment processor, it looks like you might still have to pay the 30% cut. So Apple will be less unhappy with that. They're still going to be unhappy because Apple wants total control over the iPhone.
Yeah. I mean, it does. So this makes Apple a whole lot saltier.
Yeah, they're not pleased so far.
Yeah. What's going to happen? But then it's also going to happen to affect other countries that rely on Apple, doesn't it? Like, for example, Japan and South Korea.
Well, it's going to be likely to be a worldwide change. But Apple has actually been, just recently, probably as a result of this lawsuit, Korea has made the decision themselves a few months ago to require Apple to open up the App Store payment system. So I'm hoping this is the hole in the dike. It's going to... That's the wrong metaphor. The foot in the door. I was thinking, the boy had to keep his finger in the dike to stop the hole getting wider.
Yep.
But no, I'm thinking foot in the door. I'm hoping this is the foot in the door to make everything better.
What's going to be also interesting is how if other games companies are going to pursue this lawsuit as well now, or similar type of lawsuit.
Yeah, I think it's likely that other companies are going to bring up similar lawsuits to Apple. Now, this isn't a problem for Google because Google never actually stopped people from using their own payment processors.
See,
We found out a whole lot during this lawsuit, though. I wouldn't, wouldn't complain too much about the juicy details coming out from this lawsuit if we could get people to sue Apple and Microsoft so we can find out more juicy details.
it'll be a while, though, to get more details out of it.
Yeah, well, this case has been going on for, over a year now?
Let's see. It was argued in May the 3rd to 24th, and it was decided on September 10, 2021. So it was like a few months.
Yes, but when did Epic withdraw from the App Store or get kicked off?
2015. Is it 2015? A second. I think it was mid 2000s, if I recall.
I don't know where you're getting these numbers from.
Yeah, hang on a second. I'm seeing the update of the. I'm seeing the page here, and they're saying it's 2018 they got kicked out, but it must be way more recent than that.
Yeah, that was only late 2020 that they actually got officially removed from the App Store.
Yeah.
When did that 1984 parody ad come out?
The Fortnite parody. Oh, that was that one was.
Yeah, that was August 2022. Okay, this feels like it's been going on a lot longer than it has. It's only been going on about a year then.
Yeah, but you gotta admire Epic for taking the piss out of Apple and finally winning against them.
Yes, finally someone has beaten Apple on their own ground.
So.
And right to repair's coming to be a thing.
Oh yeah. So curiously, from a game developer's perspective, how would you? What do you think of this ruling?
I think it's the beginning. I don't think it'll make a big difference for most game developers. I think it's mostly going to be people like Epic who already have issues with it.
Okay, and then from a consumer standpoint, how do you think of this case from a consumer standpoint? You reckon it's better as a consumer, or it's worse as a consumer?
It's better because now there's a small risk that there will be unscrupulous individuals who run dodgy payment stores, but having the option there to purchase apps that Apple doesn't necessarily approve of is big.
Okay. So now that we've seen the end of Epic versus Apple, you reckon we might see the same result happening with Epic versus Google?
No, I don't think this will happen with Epic and Google because you can already sideload apps on Google. There's a lot of things you can do on Google that you can't do with Apple, and that's a big part of why people are so upset with Apple.
Yeah, I'm seeing an interesting paragraph in the article saying here, judgment in the Epic versus Apple trial isn't the end of the story. It's at most a key paragraph in the prologue to a complex, evolving situation that will shape parts of the industry for years, if not decades, to come.
Hey, is that what I just said about this being the foot in the door?
Yes, it is.
Thanks, DJ. Well, our second part of the gaming topic tonight.
Yep.
Or today, because we're recording during the day. We don't do that often.
Uh-huh.
Cloud Imperium, better known as the developers of Star Citizen. Better known as the people who took all your money to make Star Citizen and then just kinda didn't.
And is it out? Is Star Citizen out yet?
No. I mean, there's a playable alpha, but it's still a long way. It's a long way from being what they promised all those years ago.
A long way? How long was this? Like, this came out when again?
I believe the Kickstarter was in 2013.
Oh my god.
It's a massive example of feature creep.
Nukem game came out like how many years in development hell?
10 or something?
Oh god, it's gonna someday rival that at some point.
It will. Because the money just keeps rolling in. 2020 was one of their best years. they keep having great years for having money coming in.
Yeah, on the promise that the game will come out.
That's the thing, it's a promise. They haven't broken that promise yet, technically.
Technically. Yeah, alright, sure. So what's with the new what's new with Star Grift? I mean Star Citizen.
I'd call it we need a term, like, you know how they like to put gate at the end of scandals? I think we should call it Stargate.
Yeah, but it'd be a licensing. It would be kind of a copyright issue. So we should just call it a Star Grift. A Star Grift. That's it.
Well, our friend Buck used to call it when Star Citizen Con happened. Would call it StarCon.
Yeah.
So anyway, Cloud Imperium has gotten a warning from the Advertising Standards Authority in the UK for selling spaceships on the store that don't even exist in the game.
How the hell did they manage to do that?
Concepts. Like, that's something that I think was okay back in the Kickstarter days. But they've had 7 years to develop something. Some of the ships that they've made are actually playable in-game. But now they're selling a ship that doesn't even exist.
There's a word for that. What was it called again? Oh yeah, it's called fraud.
Or NFTs. So, like, there's a bit of a meme that you're just buying JPEGs of a ship. But not entirely true, because the game actually also has a hangar. Like, one of the early features was a hangar you could walk around. You could hop into your ship and walk through your ship.
You know what it feels like? It feels like the games company just giving to the consumers of these concept ships and go, okay, you assemble it for me, and we'll grab it for you when you're done the assembly.
Well, I've pulled up the price of the ship. Currently, to buy the ship, massive quotes there, over $200 US.
No. Okay, so 200. How much would that be when you convert it to Australian? So that would be, okay. You mean as of now or the price?
3 months ago, I found a screenshot on Reddit.
Okay. So if you were to sell this ship now in $200 US in Australian, that would be $276.51.
I've also found someone on Reddit from a few months back who is trying to... they're reselling the ship for Bitcoin. So if you want to buy your ship with Bitcoin, they will buy the ship for you with real world money and sell it to you for Bitcoin.
So it is true. So it is like saying, okay, we'll give you the stuff. You just assemble it for us.
That's just an NFT with extra steps.
Gee, are they that lazy though? Like this feels like you're outsourcing all the stuff.
No, they're not outsourcing anything. They're still developing it, but it's sort of like investing in a company it's more like pre-ordering. At least with an investment, you usually got some guarantee about the money you'll get back. But this is pre-ordering. Basically, if Star Imperium decided to shut down tomorrow, they could. So, there have been other ships that cost more. I just think it's ridiculous that this ship isn't even available yet.
Oh, that's really weird. Like, okay, so what's the British Advertising Standards Agency saying about this?
So, a fan of Star Citizen, or an unfan now, submitted a complaint because they're fed up with CIG, Cloud Imperium games. Have I been saying Star Imperium?
No, yeah.
I might have said that once. I mean Cloud Imperium. So Cloud Imperium and the constant lies. They submitted the complaint because they got an email in July, a marketing email, encouraging him to buy a ship before it left the store. The email does not say that the ship doesn't exist. The ASA said that the wording could be clearer.
Or if I was the ASA, I would have gone, read the fine print.
Well, there doesn't seem to have been any fine print. And they've also issued an advice notice. So basically, you've been a very naughty boy, don't do that again.
Oh, but that's like a slap on the wrist, man. That's like saying, oh, you committed a very naughty slap on the wrist. Just
At least now, their more recent emails do have disclaimers in them. The disclaimer says that the vehicle is a limited concept pledge and is in development but not ready to display in your hangar or fly in Star Citizen.
That feels like a band-aid solution to like a big problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
the longer this goes on, I used to believe that they weren't completely dodgy, but the longer this goes on, the harder it is.
What really scares me is, can you imagine the unscrupulous amounts of people saying like, "Oh, hi, I'm also a developer from Cloud Imperium. We have this vehicle from Star Citizen that's very, very exclusive." And
okay, that would be even more illegal.
Yeah, I know.
What
but
Star Citizen is doing isn't actually technically illegal.
It's technically not. Yeah, but
it's not illegal. They can do it because it's not illegal and they're not going to go to jail for it. You can argue whether they should, but as it stands, it's not illegal.
Yep, but
if you went around and said, I'm with Cloud Imperium, give me money, that would be illegal because you're not with Cloud Imperium.
I understand that, Professor, but here's the problem. Like, can you imagine how many people will fall for it, though? They're like, I'm from Cloud Imperium.
Don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that person I saw on Reddit with the reselling ships for Bitcoin wasn't a con man, but I'm not. It's when you're buying stuff for Bitcoin, it's always a little bit iffy because there's a lot harder to get your money back if the person's dodgy. I see actually, they've been a Redditor for a while, and this is a trading subreddit where they actually register people as registered traders.
I mean, can you imagine if, let's say Silk Road was still around, imagine selling Star Citizen stuff over there.
I'm imagining something a bit like, I think it's the music video for White and Nerdy, when Weird Al buys a copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special. It's like this shady drug dealer type guy.
But that's a scary thing, though. So the scary thing is, this might set a very dangerous precedent, wouldn't you agree, though?
I think it's been set. We already know this is a thing they're doing. Like, it was literally a thing they did in the original Kickstarter. I think they're just getting away with it for now, and I'm hoping that eventually, someone holds them to actually releasing, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, especially when StarCon is still on alpha. I mean, okay, from a game developer's perspective, when you see news...
Here we go, the Kickstarter, actually, for $40 or more, $37 or more, you got a spaceship. Depending on your pledge, different types of spaceships.
Okay, and what are the other... do they include any add-ons?
The highest pledge is $10,000, which they sold one time. So for that pledge, you get a copy of the game with the RSI Constellation spaceship, 20,000 galactic credits, a skin for the spaceship, a name for the spaceship, access to the Alpha and Beta, the 1 Million Mile High Club ownership, which is a private club in the game, a spaceship-shaped USB stick of the game and all digital elements, plus CD of game soundtrack, plus fold-up map, blueprints, plus model of the ship, plus copy of The Making of a Star Citizen, which I doubt any has shipped at all, and hang out for a day with Chris Roberts and the dev team. I wonder if they've actually... Oh, if you only spend $5,000, then you only get half a day with Chris Roberts.
Oh, half a day. It's like, can you imagine, just like, okay, you're gonna hang out with $5,000, you only hang out with him on breakfast and lunch. And then
For $2,500, you get a 60-minute video call. I'm not convinced this is ever coming out.
Nope. It's a con. It's a con, man. Like, and people are absolutely buying it.
Yeah, with $300 million currently.
You would think with this amount of money, like even like Blizzard and EA would make a competent game, at least a competent game. But
that would be true because it's hard to quantify the number. But GTA 5 cost somewhere in the around $275 million.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Yeah.
Here we go. Wikipedia's got a list. A list up by 2020 inflation. That looks fun. Funnily enough, Half-Life 2 is the cheapest game on the list.
Really?
Yeah, at only $55 million.
See, and that was really popular too.
Yeah. So we know that Cyberpunk cost $316 million USD with inflation.
That was an average game at best, if I recall.
Yeah, GTA 5, $294 with inflation.
And it's still going.
Still going. It'll never end. I wonder how it compares to Elite Dangerous.
Or EVE Online.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot harder to analyse those, though. Because the Elite Dangerous was, it's actually released, and they keep doing expansion packs. But on Kickstarter, it only got less than half the money that the Star Citizen Kickstarter got.
Not to mention, I'm seeing one of the articles here in 2017.
Oh, no, sorry. During the actual Kickstarter itself, Star Citizen only earned $2.1 million.
Yeah.
Elite Dangerous got $2.6 million, but has actually released. EVE Online would be even harder because EVE Online has been around for like 20 years now.
Wait, did you say what? 2.6 million?
Yeah.
As in pounds or US dollars, by the way?
US dollars.
Okay, I've got here, it says here that following the end of Kickstarter, further public funding sought through the UK's website via PayPal. By 2014, £1.7 million was raised.
Yeah, I'm getting this source from a PC Gamer article that says that it earned £1.6 million.
Okay, yeah. Here it's 1.25.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So, in 2014, they interviewed the founder of Frontier, who said that the original budget was $8 million, but compared to Star Citizen, which at the time had raised $53 million.
Okay, so with all this, with all that we discussed in this with this topic, though, can you see Star Citizen having a future in the long run with all this drama and all the jokes aside?
Yes. If No Man's Sky could do it, Star Citizen could do it. But I'm not sure Star Citizen has the business sense to do it. So Star Citizen has taken this $300 million and, gotten... I can't say they've gotten nowhere, because they have got an alpha out. It's not close to what they said they'd do, but, development does take time. But their roadmap just keeps slipping and stretching, and I I'm wondering if, at this point, if they don't have someone there who can tell them, sit down and finish it. If they keep just stretching it, because, like with Duke Nukem Forever, they kept stretching and stretching because they wanted to keep making it, and making it look better, or making it more features or whatever.
And the sad part's going to be the consumer, and how they, even though the game is still in alpha, consumers still fall for it, and all because of a promise.
Lots of people were still buying it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure when it'll stop. At some point, they're going to lose all their goodwill and it'll end. People have been calling that for basically since the Kickstarter. But who knows when that's going to actually be?
No. It will be a while. A long, long while. Anyways, in the interest of time, we should move on to our next topic. So, from the makers of Soylent Green comes Bloodcrete.
Blood for the concrete gods.
That's a very. This was an interesting article, hey, Professor.
Yeah, do you like concrete, DJ? What if we made the concrete out of your blood?
Oh no! I can imagine like someone making a movie saying like, "Blood concrete is made for people." The people need to know.
The University of Manchester was trying to work out what they could use to build concrete in space, because shipping stuff from Earth is really bloody expensive. So they figured out that there's a protein that humans make that can be mixed with moon dust and turned into concrete. The good news is it does have to be blood. I thought it was either or, but no, it's blood mixed with pee, sweat, or tears. Oh, so it's stronger than ordinary concrete.
Huh.
The problem is, I was doing some more reading about this, and humans only produce a couple of dozen grams of this stuff a week. So you're going to have to spread the concrete really thinly. They reckon that you could produce 500 kilograms of, they're calling it Astrocrete, over a 2-year mission with 6 astronauts. So I wonder if maybe instead they could ship cattle to Mars, space buffalo like Futurama.
I know where this is going. I don't know where this is going, but this is going to be funny as hell.
And then use the blood from the space buffalo to make the concrete, because apparently it's a traditional method to use animal blood to make cement.
Or can you imagine or imagine using the closest relative to man, the monkey?
There are better things to use with to do with monkeys.
Although imagine if we used human blood and blood on the concrete. Can you imagine making the conspiracy buffs go crazy, going like, they used all the blood that was used in this were from the dead astronauts.
Oh, please no.
This will drive the conspiracy buffs wild. I will give you that.
Yeah. What's interesting is that blood can be used for a lot of things back on Earth as well. You can use blood as a substitute for egg in baking.
Oh.
Yes.
I can already see all those cooking shows with baking stuff going. No, all the what's that one? Britain's Bake Off. You imagine
the Great British Bake Off.
Now featuring human blood.
Oh, what you making, Dennis? I'm making some blood cake with your blood.
Can you imagine being the judge and seeing someone bleeding out while cooking the cake? And be like, oh God, no!
Apparently my fiancé is listening to us through the walls and has just mentioned blood pudding to me.
Oh, no!
And here you go. Apparently, blood has less calories than egg.
Oh, no.
I'm going to put an article in the show notes to a Vice article about a guy making blood meringue out of his own blood.
Oh, no.
Auto-cannibalism. Fun. I mean, apart from this being utterly dark and horrifying, it's also pretty cool.
Okay, so, jokes aside though, with the Bloodcrete, does it have a half-life and whatnot? Because concrete and stuff, while yes, they do survive for a long time, the problem would be that at some point they break down and they crumble and stuff. Because human blood and stuff, it breaks down very easily after how many minutes and stuff?
I think by the time it's processed into concrete, it'll last a lot longer than just leaving your blood out. I think once it's concrete, it's going to be fairly inert, fairly stable. If it acts anything like modern concrete, I don't know if it would, then it will literally become stronger the longer you leave it.
You know, it'd be pretty funny though. Can you imagine late night and you're in and you say, "Okay, I'm gonna rob the store, but there's not much weapons," and you find like a concrete stuff and spray your blood on it. You're like, "I made a cinder block with my blood and concrete."
Well, then you just made a cinder block, really, and put your blood on it. Yeah. But it does get me thinking. So if you build a house out of Bloodcrete, it's sort of like that meme about the gingerbread man in the gingerbread house. Is he made of house or is house made of him?
Oh, no.
He screams, for he does not know.
Can you imagine just like... Can you also imagine the whole term, "I've made this house with my blood, sweat, and tears" is a literal thing?
Yeah, that's where we're going here. I think it's really interesting, like, using literal human resources is a really good way to get things going in space, apparently. It's not, like... You know, the whole idea of human resources is a horror trope for a reason. But it's not the worst thing. I mean, if you ended up with people or animals would be pretty horrifying. Like, just strapped down, constantly draining blood from them. Like something in the Matrix. That's bad. To be fair, they seem like they had a decent life in the simulation. So, you know, but that's bad. But if you have scientists who are willingly giving blood to create concrete, that's fine.
Can you imagine Soylent Green becoming a reality after this?
Would you eat Soylent Green? Would you live in a house made of blood?
Oh, no! No! There goes my last lingering thought of eating meat now.
Probably good for the environment. Although I like the title of the article, "Affordable Housing in Outer Space." You're not just working yourself to death to afford a house on Earth, you're literally bleeding to make a house in space.
So, okay, here's a question. So let's say we finally made this a perfect product. How would you market it?
I don't know.
Because damn, it would be very hard to market it saying like, "We have made this with the blood of your own people."
Yeah. How would you market that? So, I wonder if we can do it on Earth. Like, is this a solution to the housing crisis? Do people just go and build houses out of their blood? Does it work with Earth dirt or just space dirt?
Yeah, I can see the next episode, Grand Designs. On our episode, Grand Designs, we look at this house which uses space dirt and human blood as a way to solve the housing problem.
That sounds fun.
Oh, can you imagine the conspiracy nuts going like, they used homeless people to make the concrete? And you're like,
Yeah?
This is like a plot to any. This is conveniently a plot to every murder mystery now.
Yes, cask of what's the word? Cask of Amontillado. That Edgar Allan Poe story about the murderer who locks the guy up in the wall.
Ah, ew.
Yeah, it's an old thing. The term for it is immurement.
Okay.
A form of imprisonment in which a person, usually until death, is sealed within an enclosed space with no exits.
Or in other words, walled to death.
Yeah. Imagine being immured in your own bloodcrete.
Oh, no! Oh, God. Oh, can you imagine just going, I cannot believe it, you killed me with my brain! Although that will be one of the worst ways to go.
Yeah, it would be a pretty horrible way to die. You'd just be trapped in the dark, starving to death.
Although, mind you, if you can survive off by sucking off the blood of your concrete.
You can't survive by eating yourself.
No,
At most, you're buying yourself a little bit of time.
It just reminded me of The Simpsons when Artie's in hiding and he survived off by sucking off the water from the wood.
Yeah.
So can you imagine just like that? Can you imagine like that with the bloodcrete just like sucking off the blood from the concrete? Like, yes, sweet blood, sweet blood.
Yes, I do wonder if at any point we're going to start looking at more human resources than just the bloodcrete. I mean, I know it's been done in the past, usually with people who were seen as lower. Like, I'm aware that I think during World War II, the Nazi Party made mattresses for prisoners of war out of the hair of Jewish prisoners. So you know how they'd shave the Jews before they executed them?
Yeah.
They'd then take that hair and make it into a mattress.
Oh,
and give it to
serious?
the other prisoners. Yeah.
That's dark. That's
It
very
is.
dark. All right. Anyways, on that note, we should move on to the final topic. So you know how everybody's going against Marvel movies these days?
Yes.
Apparently, there's a new person joining in the anti-Marvel movie crusade.
Who?
Denis Villeneuve, famous for Dune and Blade Runner, has decided to come in saying that Marvel movies are just a con, basically.
I didn't know I could like the guy anymore.
So he did an interview on with El Mundo to give his honest opinions on Marvel movies. During the interview, the outlet pointed out that it's contradictory that blockbuster movies are the ones who want to become the conscious against the drift of capitalism. On the contrary, Villeneuve admits that he thinks that big budget movies are still artistically relevant, citing notable filmmakers like Christopher Nolan. And to which he says, quote, "Just think of the golden age of Hollywood to see that commercial films can make a different artistic proposal and therefore political. I have never felt like a loss or an impediment to have a generous budget to do what I wanted to do. Upside Down, who said that a movie on a big budget cannot be artistically relevant at the same time? I'm currently thinking of people like Christopher Nolan or Alfonso Cuarón." And he went on to say that the idea of superhero movies are not cinema. And Villeneuve agrees to that former sentiment by saying that these movies have turned the audience into zombies.
I like these words.
Yeah, and to enhance that idea, he says it's because of the cut and paste formula. And this is the full quote, by the way. Perhaps the problem is that we are in too front of too many Marvel movies that are nothing more than a cut and paste of others. Perhaps these types of movies have turned us into zombies a bit. But big and expensive movies of great value, there are many today. I don't feel capable of being pessimistic at all. I mean, he has a point. Like, most of
Yeah.
the Marvel movies are cut and paste these days.
Yes, I think he has a very good point.
Although, mind you, okay, I agree with him on the part about how they are cut and paste. But what Villeneuve is not seeing, and maybe he could be right, maybe I might be wrong on this one. Like, there is the aspect of character, like let's say Spider-Man, for example, the pointless teenage drama kind of thing, like how Peter Parker is going through romance and trying to juggle out with school life and superhero life and family life, that kind of thing. Like, sure, there is the element of good guys winning, bad guys losing kind of thing. Or like for example, Captain America, for example, with while there's a good guy versus bad guy element, there's always the whole idea of political espionage or the behind the scenes before the big battle kind of thing.
Yeah, they're not exactly trying to make high art. I think calling Marvel fans zombies is a bit mean, but they are consuming the Marvel movies, which are not high art. They're not trying to be anything incredible.
Yeah. And I agree with you there. Like, it's not high art. I mean, like, it feels like most of the Marvel movies nowadays, it's basically, let's tick every box we can think of. Like pointless teenage drama, check. Big superhero movements, check. Epic movie soundtrack, check. High marketing value, check.
Yep. And one of my big complaints about it, which I'm sure I've stated before, is that we end up with these movies being made and there just doesn't seem to be as much room for unusual stuff anymore.
Yeah.
You can still find it, but it's getting harder.
Yeah. And it's interesting. A couple of days ago, I found this tweet the other day. It says here, anyone who lambasts Marvel movies as all being the same has either A, not seen them all and therefore shouldn't assume they're all the same, or B, seen them all because, hey, they actually quite like watching Marvel movies.
That's an interesting argument. I think it's possible to see some of the Marvel movies and make the determination that they are all the same because the ones that you've seen are all the same.
Yeah.
But why would you waste, at this point we're up to 36 hours or something of Marvel movies if you watch them all in one go, plus all the tie-in shows and all of that. Why would you spend that much time doing something you don't enjoy?
I mean, it's for the sake. I mean, some of them might just watch it for the sake of continuity, but then again, it's hard. It's hard to say what's a good Marvel movie these days because it's hard to top. Let's say, for example, with the first Avengers, with the Avengers Endgame. After Endgame, it's going to be very hard to top that off. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, it is very hard to tie it off. I don't know why they didn't leave a bigger gap before jumping back into it, but I just think it's too they're too derivative. They're not, they're not all identical, no, but they are very derivative.
Yeah. Although, mind you, there is a recent trend going with the new phase of Marvel movies where it's reaching to the small screen. It's like Black Widow, for example, with the spy espionage film with a family story. WandaVision with a family story as well. I haven't seen Shang-Chi, but I've heard there was a bit of a family element to it as well. But I kind of agree with with Villeneuve on this one in terms of there being the same and everybody's becoming a zombie with a cut and paste approach. I agree with him overall, but there are certain elements that I don't really agree with his statement on that one. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just hoping Denis can show us something incredible with Dune.
Yes. Yes, please.
I wish there were more people like Denis. Because he's got incredible movies, and I wish there was more of that and less Marvel. That's my opinion. Marvel fans, you can come and fight me. My address is... Hey, DJ, what's your address again?
For anyone who wants to send their hate mail and whatnot, please send it to nerds.amalgamated@gmail.com. I repeat, nerds.amalgamated@gmail.com. Anyways, we'll take a short break and we'll be back with our shoutouts, remembrances, events of interest, and famous birthdays. Anyways, to our shoutouts. Spider-Man's first appearance in Amazing Fantasy number 15 was sold for more than Superman's first comic, Action Comics number 1. Spider-Man's first appeared in 1962, and an original copy of the comic sold for $3.6 million on the 10th of September. The copy sold received a CGC grading of 9.6 out of 10. Only 3 copies have been graded 9.6, with none graded higher. Oh, that is epic.
A very, very quality copy of the book.
Imagine being the sole owner of that comic, and all of a sudden you decide to open it. You're like 9.6, 9.5, 9.3, 8.5.
Or how horrifying it would be to have like a pipe burst and spray water all over the display case.
Oh, you'd be like, oh no, pipe! Oh, my comic book collection! On the 14th, we passed the 20th anniversary of the Japanese release of the GameCube. The GameCube was Nintendo's first console to use optical discs. But unlike the Xbox or PS2, it was unable to read regular CDs or DVDs. The GameCube's controller remained popular among fighting game enthusiasts, with a new model released for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on Switch. Some of the most popular GameCube games include Super Smash Melee, Metroid Prime, Super Mario Sunshine, and Luigi's Mansion. And I will say this: I was watching an old video of an internet person playing the Nintendo GameCube, and man, he was he was ranting and raving so badly about the GameCube. How, like, for example, the what was it? He quoted the GameCube CD that looks like a chocolate chip cookie.
I had no idea that was a thing.
But do you have any good memories of the GameCube?
Actually, no, I don't. I never had a GameCube. Not one I've actually encountered often. I think in my circles, I think we mostly were playing Nintendo 64, and then around that time that the PlayStation 2 came out, most of the people I know ended up going to PlayStation.
It felt like it felt like a dark horse in the in the console market around that time, didn't it?
Yeah, looking back, it is. It's been a long time since Nintendo has been on top.
Although it wasn't long after the GameCube came out, it was the Wii then, right? Wasn't it?
About 6 years.
Okay. To commemorate the 100th anniversary of Sir Norman Burley's first scheduled air service, a squadron of 23 planes flew from Geraldton to Derby on the 16th of September. The official first flight occurred on December 5th. Sir Norman was the major in World War I who had survived being shot down in no man's land and crawled back to friendly territory with bullet wounds to both lungs. His first commercial flight was on a de Havilland Hercules under the Western Australian Airlines banner. What a mad lad to crawl that far with both lungs out.
It's bloody nuts.
On the 17th of September, Sir Clive Sinclair passed away at 81. Sir Clive is probably best known for the XZ models of cheap computers sold in the UK. The XZ line cost only £99 fully assembled, which made it extremely affordable compared to many other home computers of the era. Before the XZs, Clive built the pocket calculators, replacing
XZ?
existing desk... Pun?
XZ?
Yeah.
It's the ZX.
Oh, yeah, ZX, sorry.
Learn to read, mate.
Sorry, this is ZX. Sorry, ZX model. So the ZX's Clive built pocket calculators, replacing existing desktop calculators. He was knighted in 1983 for making technology affordable for the masses. He was also an early electric car inventor with the Sinclair C5 electric trike, looking like a science fiction prop.
It's amazing. I love it.
Oh, can you imagine Sir Clive Sinclair working with Steve Jobs at the time? They would have made millions of dollars.
Yeah, that might have been interesting to see.
Yeah. God, can you imagine Sir Clive working with Woz and Steve Jobs? That would be a dream.
I just love the design of the C5. Like, maybe it could be a bit bigger, but the design of it is so cool.
Nice. So onto our remembrances. Giovanni Domenico Cassini, known for discovering several moons and the details of the rings of Saturn, and a space probe named after him, which launched in 1997 to explore Saturn, died on the 14th of September 1712. He was born in Italy, but naturalized in France. He initially held a geocentric view of the solar system, changing his mind when he did his own research. Anti-vaxxers take note. He didn't just Google inaccurate blogs. As a youth, he became interested in astrology, but again, on further study, discarded astrology in favor for astronomy. He also started work on the first topographical map of an entire country, a map of France completed by his ancestors entitled Carte di Cassini.
Yes, take note. He saw the evidence and changed his mind because he realized he was wrong. He didn't double down on being wrong.
Things people do these days. So on to our birthdays. On the same day in 1921, Paul Proberzny, I'm gonna get so butchered for this, was born. Paul founded the Experimental Aircraft Association and popularized homemade aircraft in the US. He built over 170 homemade aircraft and flew over 500 types. He taught himself to fly in a glider that he repaired himself. He was born in Leavenworth County, Kansas. I gotta admit though, that was pretty it's pretty epic to build a lot of aircraft from homemade.
Yeah, that was kind of what you had to do back then because no one else was actually making them.
Although the question I have is, how do you get away with all the patents and copyright stuff though? If you're building a homemade.
There wasn't back then.
Really?
Like, it was still early days, so no one actually had patents on flying machines.
Huh. Okay.
So you could kind of do what you wanted. It was a bit Wild West.
Okay. On to our events of interest. On the 14th of September 1914, the Royal Australian Navy's first submarine, HMAS AE-1, was lost with all hands near East New Britain, Papua New Guinea. The wreckage was not found until 2017 when Rear Admiral Peter Briggs announced that the evidence indicated that the submarine had struck the seabed and failed. A 2018 study by the National Maritime Museum decided that the crew had accidentally left a ventilation valve open, leading to the submarine flooding and imploding as it passed 100 meters depth. The crew likely died instantly. I guess that's why people don't like being submariners in the long run, huh?
No, it's very dangerous. And being underwater with no sunlight does a lot of bad things to your health. Like, vitamin D deficiency is pretty nasty.
Ugh.
So, yeah, being a submariner is not the most enjoyable job. So you don't even get your own bed. On a lot of submarines, you have to share with two or three people to a bed. Not all at once. It's called hot racking.
Oh.
When you get out of bed to start your shift, it's time for the other guy to go to bed. Then you have your shift and your rec period, and then when it's ready for you to go to bed, the third guy is waking up and you swap.
That sounds painful.
Yeah, it sounds pretty awkward and uncomfortable. I've been on a submarine, actually. There's one in WA, somewhere in Fremantle, I think. That's up on the dock, and they run tours through it. And they're horrible and cramped.
Oh, man. How did those World War II survivors survive through the submarine battles and whatnot? They must have been really... Oh.
Yeah, it would have been even worse.
Yeah.
Nuclear subs are a bit better because they can be so much bigger, but you still got a whole bunch of people crammed into a tiny space. And if you're too tall, then you have a bad time.
Oh, man.
There's a lot of things you can hit your head on. Smarter Every Day did a really good series on the... I think it's a Virginia class? No, it's a Los Angeles class. The USS Toledo, which is a nuclear-powered attack sub, and he did a series of videos on board that sub, like getting to see how they come out of the water and through ice, crawling into the missile tubes.
Okay. Huh. Every time I'm thinking about, I always thought that the the life of a submariner would be similar to the Simpsons when Homer was was in a submarine.
I wouldn't take The Simpsons as the most accurate television.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so for our final event of interest, on the same day in 2007, The Dark Hour released in Spain. The film featured a character named Jesus. Yes, Jesus, you heard it right. A group of survivors given thinly veiled Bible references for names and Judas. The characters lived in a bunker hiding from mutants known as the Strangers after a nuclear war. Once a day, they locked themselves up in a room to hide from ghosts.
The plot makes no sense, but it's pretty wild.
Oh, there was so... And I was looking at the interesting trivia to this. There aren't much trivia, but it was just basically it was just like, what the hell is this movie? If when you look at the plot, it just feels like, okay, this is what happens when the coronavirus hits Earth.
Yeah, except we don't have mutants and ghosts.
Like, here we go. There was one of the interesting trivia they said here. There's a final quote during the end credits. "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds," from the Hindu scripture Bhagavad Gita, as said by J. Robert Oppenheimer after the first nuclear test detonation in Los Alamos.
Cool, so they're quoting Oppenheimer because it's a movie about the post-apocalypse after the nuclear war.
That quote is getting played too many times now.
Really?
I mean, every nuclear explosion, "I have become death." Yeah. Come up with something more original, dang it! And I was looking further into this into the movie, and some of the dialogue is absolutely interesting. Like they had a chat with there was a conversation between Judas and Jesus, and this is how the chat goes. "Judas, we fought because we thought our God was better than theirs. Thing is, they thought the same about their God. Do you understand?" Jesus shakes his head. "No." "What's God?" Jesus goes, "Someone who left us alone."
That's so ham-fisted. Maybe it sounds better in Spanish.
And here's another one. So Mateo, some guy goes, "How are you?" "Maria, his boyfriend just died. Alone." What? Wow, punchy dialogue right there.
Yeah, maybe it's just better in Spanish.
Yeah. Anyways, on that note, we should wrap up. Where can they find us, Professor?
Facebook, Twitter, email us at nerdsonamalgamated@gmail.com, and basically anywhere. And keep an eye out for our new show launching either this week or next week, Nerdful Things, where it's taking the place of our media review. We decided to spin it off so we'd have a bit more time to talk about what we've been watching. And we're also doing it in the format of a book club. The first week's book club film, it's a movie, so not really a book, but you get the point, is Forbidden Planet.
Ooh, nice. And you can also find us on that'snotcanon.com, where we have an archive of our old episodes and new podcasts, such as Cartoon Time Machine with the Animates. The Cartoon Time Machine visits different cartoons and eras and animations. In each episode, the Animates, two idiots with film degrees, discuss their takes on beloved or hated cartoons of the past, present, and future. And that's all we have for this week. Take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, and time for me to look at tall vampire ladies.
We'll see you next week.